Lowell's Observatory is still in use today. Its creator died in 1916, having fired the imaginations of many and tasted the ridicule of others. Later research indicates that Lowell's canals were illusions, but the remarkable events of 1976 have proven the astronomer right on many of his other observations.
He thought that Mars was in what he called the terrestrial stage of planetary evolution, and that was the stage after the one that the Earth was in, which was the terraqueous stage. In short, the Earth had oceans. Mars, he thought, had already lost its oceans, but it did have oceans at one time. Mars was drying up. Mars was desiccating, and he coined the word desertism for what was happening to Mars, and he thought that it was also just beginning to appear on Earth.
Lowell's observation about Earth's changing climate was profound. The forces at work in the solar system have a rhythm and a reason beyond the grasp of most men. Changes that are imperceptible from man's tiny window on the universe can have profound consequences. Lowell believed that some small shift in the orbit of Mars or some fluctuation in the sun's rays had gradually deprived Mars of life-giving water. He saw indications that the same processes were at work on Earth. Could it be that some Martian scientist was able to warn his people in time? At the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, scientists like Harold Klein are studying the similarities between Earth and Mars that Percival Lowell was the first to recognize.
Well, it's very difficult to talk about the evolution of a planet like Mars without too much information. The general theory at present is that both Mars and the Earth were formed at the same time, about 5 billion years ago. One would then postulate that at the beginning, when the solar system was created, Mars had a much denser atmosphere than it has now, and that in many ways it was much more similar to the Earth, and perhaps, therefore, was conducive to the origin of life on that planet, as we believe was the case on this planet.
Water would have been essential if life on Mars was to develop as we know it. Gerald Soffin is a Mars geologist.
The important thing to understand is that both planets were at one time hydrological planets. They were planets that had flooded amounts of water, and that water, that simple molecule, dominated for a great period of time the course of the history of the planet. Now, there's no water on Mars today. There's no flooding water. There's certainly atmospheric water, and we now know the poles of Mars are water. So somewhere along the way, Mars went one way, and the Earth went the other way.
What effect might the radical change in the Martian environment have had on life there?
We're asking the question, if there is life on Mars, was it a separate event from the evolution of life on Earth? It's entirely possible that what we find on Mars, possible, not likely, is so close to our own that we've discovered, in a sense, the same event, the terrestrial life and the Earth life, because we're related to the same event that took place some time ago.
Some time ago, indeed. And the question remains, could the birth of the sun some 5 billion years ago have given life to two worlds instead of one? Mission Control, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in the foothills above Pasadena, California. It is from here that an ambitious undertaking in space will be directed. The target is Mars, 212 million miles from Earth. Men have walked on the moon, but this journey to Mars will take 11 months. Too long for man now, but not for his machines.
Copy, thank you.
Ascertain orders in for 215602.
Copy, thank you.
A Titan Centaur lifts off from Cape Kennedy. It is August 20th, 1975. In the nose cone is a machine of ingenious artifice. It is called Viking. Men have learned to extend their intelligence beyond the confines of their fragile bodies, into icy space and onto unknown worlds. The machine will go where men cannot, for the present, go. It will obey the commands of the scientists in Pasadena, sitting at their computers 35 miles from the surfing beach at Malibu.
Good, President.
Roger, 211350. We have 3 and 4 out of luck.
The voyage itself is largely uneventful. Soon, however, the command center at Pasadena will be alive with activity.
Yeah, Art, looking at the, I got the sheet here with me for the ranging for today.
Okay.
First range, 8.27089.
Okay, how are the correlation voltages?
10 months from liftoff, Viking 1 enters the orbit of Mars. An instrument package descends to the surface and awaits instructions from Earth.
Contact.
Now, we chose Mars primarily because Mars is, I guess you would call Mars our true sister planet to Earth. The biology that we know in the universe is focused mostly on the Earth. That's the only life that we know. Our life, we terrestrial beings, we the trees, and we the people. And our candidate for a search began with Mars.
8.27089.
The first Viking lander is joined by a second 6 weeks later. With infrared sensors and special television cameras, men get their first close look at Mars.
97. Second power.
Calibrate out the effects of the solar corona.
Soil samples yield particularly fascinating results.
The data from both landers can be interpreted as being due to living organisms, can also be interpreted from what we now know as being due to some kind of very active surface chemistry going on the planet.